All right, welcome back here to Good Morning San Diego. James Holmes is in court today to face his formal charges on the Colorado shooting massacre. And the question is, will he plead not guilty by reason of insanity? In the studio this morning is Anna Yum. She's a former prosecutor and a criminal defense attorney. Thanks for your time this morning. We know you've been on all morning long, so we really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Tom.
Mr. Holmes, he's in court this morning right now. Reporters are not allowed in the courtroom. Cameras are not. Social media, ways of communication, not allowed. Why such the strict exclusion to the public, really?
I think that what the judge is trying to do is trying to balance whether Mr. Holmes can get a fair trial in this case. And I think because of the exposure associated with this case, that everyone's been talking about it, it's been all over the blogs, all over the news and the media outlets, I think the judge is trying to limit the pretrial publicity to try to make sure that Mr. Holmes gets a fair trial, a constitutional right to his fair trial. So I think it's a very fine balance between having the public's right to know the information and then balancing that, limiting the pretrial publicity.
Okay, we just got word right now, actually right on the wire, that he has been formally charged now with 24 counts of murder.
Right.
24 counts, 116 counts of attempted murder. Why 24 counts, would you speculate, when there were 12 people that were killed?
My understanding, based upon Colorado law, is that there's two different factors. There's a murder regarding premeditation and then murder regarding extreme indifference. Okay. And so I think that because of those two standards, even though there were only 12 victims, that's what explains the 24 counts. And
then there's this, we found out this morning too, that one of the, there's been another fatality in the form of a fetus.
Correct.
The pregnant, the woman who was pregnant, that baby has now died. Will that be added on to these charges as well?
You know, that's something that the district attorney's office is going to have to discuss amongst themselves. It's a very tragic situation because my understanding is that the fetus, the miscarriage, was a result of the mother who was the mother of the 6-year-old child who died.
Already lost that child.
Right. So my heart just goes out to that mother. I mean, having to lose a 6-year-old and then having to lose the baby inside, the fetus inside, that's extremely tragic.
The video we saw last week, the live pictures that we took inside the courtroom, will that likely be the last time that we see James Holmes throughout the course of the trial?
Potentially. It really depends upon the judge and how strict he's going to make this gag order. And you raise a very interesting point because everyone's been talking about how strange James Holmes looked. He was blinking his eyes. He had the red, fiery hair.
Yeah.
He looked really weird and unusual. And I think what's really important to understand is that there's a difference between being legally competent and being legally sane.
Explain the difference.
Sure. So it sounds complicated, but really what it comes down to is what was his state of mind at the time of the incident and what is his state of mind now. So to be legally insane, you have to look at his state of mind at the time of the incident, meaning due to a mental disease, was he able to determine the difference between right or wrong? Now, when you look at legal competence, what you're looking at is what is his state of mind now? Can he understand the proceedings? Can he participate in his defense? So I think that a lot of times people get confused about the different standards, but really what it comes down to is state of mind then versus state of mind now.
Okay, if he's not competent to stand trial, what's going to happen?
He gets sent off to a mental institution until he is competent to stand trial, and then he comes back to face the charges.
And then if they say he does go to a mental institution and he comes back to trial, and prosecutors more than likely will probably be seeking the death penalty in this case, but the state of Colorado, you have mentioned before, there are only 3 people on death row, correct?
Correct.
In the state of Colorado.
Correct, and 2 of the inmates on death row, Carol Chambers, the prosecutor, was responsible for. She prosecuted those cases. So what I had described earlier was that the death penalty is not as prevalent out in Colorado than, for instance, in a state like California.
Reserved for the most extreme type of cases, which this, I assume, would fall into that category.
Correct. I would think so, too.
All right, so 24 counts of murder against James Holmes, 160 counts of attempted murder. He's not expected to enter a plea today. Is that correct?
My understanding is that he is, with formal charges that are being filed against him. And I think that with his entering a plea, we should know whether he is going to enter a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity.
Yeah.
And I think that with the not guilty by reason of insanity, we have to look at the psychiatrist involved as well. There's been a lot of talk about Dr. Lynn Fenton.
Sure. How much did she know prior to this incident? Correct.
And what's interesting about Dr. Fenton, Tom, is that she was disciplined back in 2004 by the Colorado Medical Board for prescribing medication to herself, prescribing medication to her husband, and prescribing medication to a colleague. So The issue is whether she's going to be looked at closely. Did she know about these threats prior to the incident in question? Because if she did, and if it served an imminent threat to another, she had a duty to warn. But if she didn't know about these threats, then of course there is no duty.
Well, I'm sure investigators are looking very closely at that package that arrived at her office last week. Annie, thanks so much for joining us. Great insight. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.